Good evening. Welcome to the 2026 Martin Luther King celebration with Millsaps College and Tougaloo College. We are excited to have you all here today and celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. On March 7, 1965, a crowd of 600 consisting mainly of elderly black men and women with a few young people attempted to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, to show the nation their determination to obtain the right to vote. They were brutally attacked, beaten with bullwhips and nightsticks, and trampled with horses by the Alabama state troopers. Dr. King arrived in Selma the next day. According to the late John Lewis, he issued a nationwide appeal for religious leaders to come to Selma and walk the same path we had taken on Bloody Sunday. More than 1,000 priests, rabbis, nuns, and ministers responded to the call of Dr. King. They lined up early on Tuesday, March 9th, after attending a religious service in Brown Chapel AME Church. They quietly and orderly walked through the streets of Selma and crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge. When they came to the same point where they were beaten on Bloody Sunday, and marchers knelt down to pray and turned back and awaited a court order the U.S. made from marching Selma to Montgomery. 2 weeks later, more than 10,000 people began the march from Selma to Montgomery, led by Dr. King. Senator Lewis said, "It was like Gandhi's march to the sea. There was something so peaceful, so holy, so profoundly spiritual about the moving feet on the pavement. We sang, we prayed, we were not afraid." Upon arriving at the Alabama Capitol in Montgomery, Dr. King urged the marchers to continue on, to march on poverty, to march on the ballot box, to march on segregation, to march to the realization of the American dream. He pleaded with them to remain committed to nonviolence. In his words, "We must come to see that the end we seek in a society at peace with itself, a society that can live with its consensus. And that will be the day not of the white man, not of the black man. That will be the day of a man's man. Let us be forever hopeful. Let us never give up. Let us journey together to build a united community, a united state, a united nation."
On this day, we have an opportunity to remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who dreamed of a loving, just society for all. We honor him today by taking a moment to stop, pause, and reflect on his leadership. Let us remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King. "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." So if you all could please join me in prayer. Gracious God, we live in times of deep division, mistrust, and violence. Bless us in a special way during our celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Open our hearts and minds to your truth and renew our commitment to justice and peace, pursued through cooperation and love. Fill us with your Holy Spirit that we might realize and accept that we are all members of the same human family, created in your image and likeness. May the example of Dr. King inspire us to see in one another, sisters and brothers, with a common origin and destiny, guided by the conviction that together we can nobly fulfill the promise of our nation. We pray in the name of God, who is our creator and who calls us to create communities of justice, freedom, and peace. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Frank Neville. I'm president here at Millsaps College, and we're very, very honored to host all of you here today. I had the pleasure last year, during my first year here at Millsaps, to visit Tougaloo and be hosted by Dr. Lee and your wonderful community there. So we are very, very pleased to be able to return the favor, and we're very, very proud to be here with all of you today on this very important occasion. And I want to thank all of our friends from Tougaloo who have come to visit us here. We're very, very pleased to have you here, and we hope to see you here again soon. I know we work on some projects together, and I would hope that we can do more projects in the year to come. So hopefully we will see more of you. And we are very, very pleased to have the opportunity to pause and reflect on the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. For a number of reasons. But this year's theme related to nonviolence, I think, is particularly important. It's something that is a message that is just as salient and just as relevant in 2026 as it was in 1966. And this is a view that at that time was contentious. Not everybody thought that this was a good idea. Not everybody who was being physically assaulted thought that not fighting back was the right thing to do. And so Dr. King had not only the physical courage to withstand that type of harassment and physical pain, he not only had the moral courage to do what he and his Christian faith and his career as a minister told him was the right thing to do, but he also had the courage of facing down people who were his friends, his allies, his supporters, who were advocating for a different path. So this is a tremendously powerful and courageous choice on the part of Dr. King. And he did it, Joel, I was going to use that quote, so thank you for doing it before me. But it's a quote. I think some of you know that I lived in Atlanta before coming here. I worked at Georgia Tech, and every day I drove to the office over a bridge where that quote was painted. And the reason that Dr. King said those things, and the reason that Dr. King believed in nonviolence, is because he knew that violence simply begets more violence, that hate simply begets more hate. And if you live in a zero-sum world where might is right, where violence is the answer to subjugate the person with whom you disagree, you are not creating a society that is stable. You are not creating a society that is prosperous. You are not creating a society that is going to last. You are perpetuating the seeds of the society's own destruction. This is something that Dr. King knew, and the courage of his convictions was so powerful that he withstood many, many challenges to those convictions. But as I mentioned, those convictions are just as relevant and just as important today as they were 60 years ago. And we, at Millsaps and at every other college and university in the United States, has an important role to play in this. Because we need to be sending the message of inclusion, of love. And we need to be educating people to perpetuate and to carry forth those ideas into the world. Listening to others, learning from others, these are core things that are central to your ability to study, to learn, to advance knowledge. They're core to what a college or university should do. And we need to apply them, all of us, in a way that advances the vision of Dr. King of a society where we live together. We are not the same. We do not have the same perspectives, backgrounds, preferences, etc. But a society in which we make space for one another. A society in which we respect one another. And a society built on compassion and love for our fellow human beings. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, everyone, and warm greetings to everyone. On behalf of Tougaloo College, I am honored to bring greetings at this Martin Luther King Jr. celebration program. I extend my sincere appreciation to President Frank Neville and the Millsaps community for their leadership, hospitality, and spirit of partnership in convening this joint observance. I am grateful for President Neville's commitment to fostering collaboration across our institutions and for his steadfast support of shared civic and moral responsibility. We gather today to honor the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a leader whose life was grounded in enduring principles that continue to challenge and inspire us. An unwavering commitment to justice, the moral imperative of service, the disciplined practice of nonviolence, and a profound belief in the inherent dignity and worth of every human being. Dr. King taught us that leadership is not defined by title or privilege, but by responsibility. Responsibility to speak when silence is comfortable, to act when action is costly, and to love in ways that transform individuals and societies alike. Tougaloo College is uniquely bound to this legacy. Our campus stands as a sacred site in the history of the Civil Rights Movement. Within Yates Chapel and across our grounds, students, clergy, organizers, and movement leaders gathered to plan, to pray, and to prepare for the difficult work of dismantling segregation and advancing freedom. Tougaloo students did not merely study social change, they embodied it, placing their bodies, their futures, and their convictions on the line in pursuit of justice. That legacy continues to inform our mission as an institution committed to academic excellence, ethical leadership, and service to the common good. Today also affirms the vital importance of partnership. Dr. King understood that transformative change is never achieved in isolation. Progress requires coalition, courage, and collaboration across institutions and communities. The partnership between Tougaloo College and Millsaps College reflects this truth and serves as a powerful reminder of the role higher education must play in modeling cooperation, dialogue, and shared purpose, especially in times that call for moral clarity and collective action. As we reflect on Dr. King's life and legacy, let us remember his dream. It calls us to build institutions that educate both the mind and the conscious, to cultivate leaders who measure success by service, and to strengthen partnerships that advance justice, equity, and peace. So may this gathering renew our resolve to serve boldly, collaborate faithfully, and lead with integrity. And may we leave this place recommitted to the unfinished work to which Dr. King devoted his life. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Today, we come together to honor the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., not just as a historical figure, but as a leader whose message still speaks with us today. Dr. King believed that unity was not optional, it was necessary. He understood that progress only happens when people choose to stand together even whenever it's difficult. Dr. King once said, "We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny." This powerful idea reminds us that we are all connected, no matter our background, race, beliefs, or experiences. What happens to one of us affects all of us. Unity means recognizing these differences and choosing to still care for one another. Notice how I said recognizing differences rather than ignoring them. Dr. King did not ask people to pretend that injustice didn't exist. Instead, he challenged people to confront these inequalities together with courage, honesty, and love. True unity is whenever we understand these differences, listen to one another, and work together towards fairness for everyone. As students, we might think that Dr. King's work only belongs to those in the past and is only meant for adults. But his message applies to each and every one of us every day. Unity can be shown in the hallways, in the classrooms, and online. It looks like including someone who feels left out, standing up for a classmate who's being treated unfairly, or choosing empathy instead of judgment. As a president, I question every day how to make sure everyone feels heard and seen on campus. Because it's hard to consider campus a family if someone is unheard or they just don't feel seen. Even on a basketball court, every person on this team gets a voice, regardless of your classification or your playing time. No machine runs at its best if all the parts aren't sound. Dr. King also believed in the power of service. He reminded us that everyone can be great because everyone can serve. When we help others, whether through volunteering, supporting a friend, or simply just being kind, we strengthen our community. Small actions, when done together, can create meaningful change. Today is not just a day off from school or a moment to reflect on history. It's a call to action. Dr. King's dream continues through us. Each of us has a role to play in creating a more united and just world. We do this by choosing respect over division, courage over comfort, and unity over silence. Let us honor Dr. Martin Luther King today, not only with our words, but with our actions. If we commit to standing together, lifting each other up, and leading with love, we keep his dream alive. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Just to make sure everyone is aware, no, I am not Amaria Jackson Wright. We send Amaria our regards. She was feeling a bit under the weather, so we asked her to take care of herself and do what she needed to do for her, and I will introduce our speaker this evening. Heralded as one of the nation's most strategic thinkers and savvy politicos, Wakenya Clanton currently serves as the first ever state director of the Southern Poverty Law Center, leading its Mississippi office. As a catalyst for racial justice in the South and beyond, the center welcomed Ms. Clanton as the inaugural director of the Mississippi State Office, where she has the duty of working in partnership with communities to dismantle white supremacy, strengthen intersectional movements, and advance the human rights of all people. This fourth-generation Mississippian is a former nonprofit executive, successfully led one of the nation's premier organizations for Black women political leaders, the National Organization of Black Elected Legislative Women, where she successfully managed its majority female staff, revitalized its training program for women in political, corporate, and nonprofit leaders, and created its signature STEM program for young girls, gigabytes, and gadgets. This seasoned Politico is an esteemed cum laude graduate of Tougaloo College, where she earned her Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, earned her Master's in Business Administration, and is trained and certified as a political operative through the Congressional Black Caucus's Institute for Political Education and Training Boot Camp program, as well as the Women's Campaign School at Yale University. She is also an inaugural recipient of Tougaloo College's 40 Under 40 Alumni Awards and was named as Outstanding Young Alumni by the United Negro College Fund. An active member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, there you go, the Madison County Alumni Chapter, Social Action Political Awareness Committee, and Involvement Committees. She served on a number of previous boards, including that of her alma mater, Tougaloo College, as a member of the 2022-2023 Employer-Faculty Relations Council at the appointment of former President Carmen Walters, and currently serves on the Board of Trustees for the USA International Ballet Competition, and is a member of the Jackson, Mississippi chapter of the Lynx Incorporated. She is also a lifelong member at Mount Abel Missionary Baptist Church in Canton, Mississippi. It is truly an honor to welcome my fellow graduate of the 36th best class of Leadership Greater Jackson, Miss Wakenya Clanton.
Thank you, Ryan. He did not have to read all of that, but thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you to each of you for being here today. I count it both an honor and a privilege to stand here in this beautiful space amongst so many incredible people to share some thoughts and sentiments about why today is so significant. It is significant not only because we are paying homage to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but it is significant because of the 20+ years of partnership that Tougaloo and Millsaps College have both shared throughout the years. That should be applauded. To President Neville and to my very own president, President Dr. Lee, thank you all for creating this space. Thank you all for continuing the legacy of this relationship, this allyship that we see here today. I'm not sure if people realize it or not, but this sends a very powerful message throughout the state of Mississippi. The fact that two historic institutions can come together under the same banner, crying for justice and peace and equality and unity at a time when we desperately need it. So, to my students, I always love being in spaces where I get to spend a little time at your feet. I always enjoy being in space where I get to glean from the next generation of leadership. I stare and look at my students at Tougaloo College, and I'm always beaming with such pride because I know the legacy from which you come from. I know the legacy for which you will leave. And as I look to the students at Millsaps, the same is true for you too. You have a call and a commission to carry on the legacy of Dr. King, not just on the day in which a country chooses to recognize his birth and his existence, but because you truly believe and embody the principles for which he lived, fought for, and died for all of us. Now I'm gonna get into my speech. Now y'all, I am a Baptist preacher's daughter, so I do a little bit of call and response. But I ain't gonna bore y'all with that today. But I will tell you this. It is so important that we understand why this matters, why today, of all days, really matters for us. These two institutions, Millsaps College and Tougaloo College, born of different histories, but choosing to share purpose over separation and cooperation over convenience. Choosing to show up and show yourselves strong and capable, compassionate and resilient. That matters. Being in space together matters. Holding true to the impenetrable bonds of friendship matter. Coming together and renewing our bond when the world around us adamantly wants us separated and divided, it matters. Taking the time to reflect and remember, but also recommit ourselves to all that is just and right matters. See, remembrance with no relationship will never produce justice. Just as reflection without responsibility and accountability will never build community. That's why it's important that institutions who claim King's legacy also practice his values. The choice is not symbolic, it is political, it is moral, and it is necessary. As I reflected on tonight's theme, one question kept coming to mind. What makes a mission possible? Now, as someone who's been organizing for about as long as this partnership has been together, I can say I kind of thought I knew the answer. See, the mission that we're talking about today isn't about nostalgia. It is about right now. It is not about a commemoration. It is a continuation. And the first mission, Dr. King showed us that marching on foot and moral courage and disciplined nonviolence and being organized as a people willing to disrupt justice were all requirements to prove what was a very prudent point, which is change is indeed possible. Yet 60 years later, we find ourselves on the precipice of another very critical mission. One riddled with questions and plagued with the charge of sustainability. We ask ourselves, how do we make the change we seek last? How do we sustain the community we form in frustration once the cameras leave? How do we hold true to our virtue when the trends on social media die? What happens then? What happens when the fight to protect and defend democracy become inconvenient? How do we practice nonviolence in an age addicted to selective outrage and taunted by fierce injustice and ignorant emboldenment? Those are the questions. See, Mission Possible is not just aspirational, it is action-oriented. It is more than words, it is a charge. It is an affirmation of what is. It speaks to the urgent realities of now. It does not seek perfection. It does not reward personality, but it occurs and rises amidst imperfection and through the modest work of ordinary people achieving extraordinary things. Now, I might be dating myself a little bit, but I'm a fan of the Mission Impossible series, okay? And for those of you who don't know, Mission Impossible is where, there's this international spy. His name is Ethan Hunt. You might know him as Tom Cruise. But he tackles, right, some really high-stake missions to prevent global catastrophes. And though we are not spies, well, at least I think we're not spies, we have a similar job. And that job is to prevent the collapse of our own country. That job is to prevent the collapse of our own state, right? That job is to prevent the collapse of our own institutions right here at home. See, daily we are challenged to overcome what seems to be the impossible, only to realize that a mission becomes possible not because of that the conditions are ideal, but because people decide to act with clarity, with courage, discipline, and despite imperfect circumstances. And discipline despite imperfect circumstances. Together, we realize that we can accomplish anything we set our minds to. It just requires some commitment. The type of commitment that Dr. King spoke about: more clarity, shared purpose, organized people, disciplined non-action, constructive tension, faith in the power of people, persistence, and love. See, a mission is possible when people are clear about what is right and what is wrong. Dr. King often taught that confusion about values is more dangerous than opposition itself. As he said, there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor political nor popular, but one must take it because conscience tells him that it is right. That is what we are here today. That's why we're here. It's time for us to align around what is right. Without the moral clarity, action collapses into reaction. Our mission demands that we say clearly and without apology, justice is not partisan, truth is not divisive, and democracy is not optional. When voting rights are restricted, when history is censored, when courts are politicized, when fear becomes policy, neutrality is no longer an option. We've got to stand for what is right. Our mission is to stand for what is right. Our conscience has to be louder than any form of convenience. See, our mission becomes possible when we understand that our faiths are inevitably tied together. As a practice, we must reject individualism detached from responsibility, for it is indeed true that we are our brothers and sisters' keepers. Dr. King reminded us that we are bound together in a network of mutuality. Too often, missions fail because people ask, well, how does this affect me? Rather than considering what we owe to each other in those moments. Community is not built by agreement. It is built by responsibility. Missions become possible when hope is structured. Dr. King believed deeply in organization, reminding us that courage does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability. That organization turns passion into plans and crowds into movements and moments into momentum. He didn't confuse hope with strategy. He knew that mission was never about inspiration alone, but about infrastructure. He knew that the mission required us to organize beyond just our protests and train beyond just moments. He taught us to build leadership ladders and develop people, not just platforms. Hope without structure cannot survive the storm. Our mission becomes possible when our methods match those missions. Dr. King understood that violence corrupts the goal it claims to serve because means and ends are inseparable. Dr. King saw nonviolence not simply as a tactic, but as a way of life rooted in 6 deep beliefs. Number 1, nonviolence is not cowardice. It requires courage. Number 2, nonviolence seeks to win friendship and understanding, not defeat or humiliate. Nonviolence attacks forces of evil, not people. Nonviolence accepts suffering without retaliation to educate and awaken the conscience. Nonviolence resists hatred through active love. And most importantly, nonviolence believes that the universe bends towards justice because the people pull it. In this age of online mobs and political violence and moral exhaustion, nonviolence is not outdated. It is not countercultural resistance. Meeting cruelty with cruelty or lies with louder lies will not build the future that we need. Discipline, nonviolence, protects the moral high ground. It builds broader coalitions and prevents movements from self-destructing. It keeps movements from imploding. It keeps communities from fracturing, and it keeps justice from losing its soul. A mission is possible when people are willing to disrupt unjust peace. Silence is complicity. Dr. King warned against false harmony, teaching that true peace is not the absence of tension, but the presence of justice. This mission refuses false peace, shallow unity and harmony without justice. Progress requires nonviolent disruption and a willingness to be uncomfortable and a refusal to wait for permission. Avoiding tension doesn't make missions possible. In fact, it renders them impossible. Managing tension makes missions achievable. See, mission possible too is about the possibility of people being brave enough to be uncomfortable for the sake of justice. See, we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Too many people sit idly by while someone else takes up the mantle when the responsibility belongs to all of us. A mission is possible when people believe that they matter. Dr. King trusted ordinary people more than powerful institutions. He knew that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressee. This mission that we're embarking on today is not waiting on saviors, nor the courts, or any perfect leader. The mission that we are on today believes that democracy survives because people show up. Change happens because people persist. And justice moves because people pull the arc. Belief in people's power fuels participation, persistence, and sacrifice. This mission is possible because people still care. If you care, let me see your hands. It exists because people are willing to act. If you're willing to act, let me see your hands. If you're willing to act, stand to your feet. That's why we are here. Standing united because action for the mission cannot wait. It does not happen in a silo. It does not happen because you wish it. It happens because you're willing to stand for it and work for it every single day. You can be seated. A mission becomes possible when love becomes political. Dr. King's take on agape love was not soft, it was demanding. He knew that love is the most durable power in the world. He said it, in fact. Love humanizes your opponents. It grounds itself in accountability. and it keeps movements from becoming cruel. The mission that we are on today calls us to practice radical love, the type of love that tells the truth, the type of love that sets boundaries, and it demands accountability while all the while seeking repair. Without love, missions may succeed tactically but fail morally. Love is what keeps the mission from becoming tyranny in reverse. In his writings, Dr. King warned that America could face moments when democracy itself would feel uncertain, when truth would be contested and when fear would be profitable, and when justice would be asked to wait. He called it a dangerous, unstructured moment, much like the moments we find ourselves in today. Voting rights are under renewed assault. History is being censored rather than studied. Courts and classrooms have become battlegrounds, and unity is too often confused with silence. Dr. King was a fierce critic of the Vietnam War. Well, war itself, but particularly the Vietnam War, which he called morally unjust and spiritually destructive. In his 1967 speech, Beyond Vietnam, he named the U.S. government as the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today. As he warned, a nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. That's the moment we find ourselves in today. One where we're spending trillions of dollars on senseless warfare when the real war we should be fighting is the war on poverty right here at home. See, Dr. King believed tyranny thrives when people normalize injustice, when laws are obeyed without moral scrutiny, and when silence replaces conscience. That's why we must resist. That is why we must continue to resist. There's a sharp distinction between just laws and unjust laws. Dr. King reminded us that an unjust law is no law at all. But yet here we are, staring our second mission in the face, gathered not in isolation but in partnership, wondering the age-old question, where do we go from here? I'm often asked what keeps me up at night. And the truth of the matter is, it is this very question. Where do we go from here? It's the same question that is heard in the woeful cries of children whose only meal are those that they get at school, or it's the sorrowful tears of mothers trying to figure out how to make the ends meet while she balances between health care and the costs of public utilities. This question plagues our mission. It makes it more real, more tangible. It also makes our work real. But I find reassurance in the fact that we're here together, and I don't feel like I have to do this work alone. I find assurance knowing that just as we sit here today, so much lies in front of us, so much opportunity lies in front of us. And it's rooted and it's so connected to our own freedom. We spent a lot of time today talking about Dr. Martin Luther King and his vision of the beloved community. We spent a lot of time talking about his speeches and what he said and the words that resonate and connect with us in our soul. But there's another king that I also reflect on today. Her name is Coretta Scott King. She was the wife of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. She was the one who made sure we understood that there was something even more essential than just the question of where do we go from here in the quest for nonviolence. She also raised the question that, well, she made the point that freedom is never permanent. In fact, struggle is a never-ending process. Freedom is never really won. You must earn it and win it in every generation. You are the generation who has the mission of winning our freedom now. There are so many who've already done the work before you. It is now your turn. This is your charge. Freedom is not something we arrive at and then admire. It is not a trophy that is passed down intact. It is not a chapter in a textbook. Freedom is a practice. It has to be exercised. It must be protected. Will you be its protector? Will you accept the mission to secure our freedom? Every generation must decide whether it will carry the work forward or allow it to erode quietly. That decision is not abstract. It is happening in classrooms and in courtrooms and in communities, at ballot boxes, and in the moments when silence feels easier than courage. Will you speak up? Will you be the bender of the arc of morality and justice? Your charge is to pull the arc. Don't let it go. Students of Millsaps and Tougaloo, you are not just here to inherit a legacy, you are here to steward it. When Mrs. King spoke of struggle and freedom, she did so to suggest that struggle is sustained across time, across differences, and across generations. That it is done so not for applause, but before responsibility. And so today we not honor Dr. King, but Mrs. King. We are also reminded that the mission was never designed to end. That the beloved community was never meant to be passive, and that justice was never meant to be someone else's responsibility. Our mission requires that we commit to it again and again and again and again, as many times as it takes. It requires that we choose nonviolence again and again and again and again, no matter how many times it takes. Choosing community again and again and again, no matter how long it takes. As we prepare to leave this place, let us leave not comforted, but by commission, knowing that freedom will ask something of us, and we must be prepared to deliver on it. Our democracy requires your full participation in it. The rights you have today might not be there tomorrow. It requires your fight, though, to ensure that it is so. When history asks what your generation did with the legacy that it inherited, may it be said that you did not grow complacent, you did not grow silent, you did not grow tired of struggle, but that you understood that freedom is never finally won and that you have chosen to earn it. Thank you.
Good evening. In his acceptance address for the Nobel Peace Prize, Dr. King said, "Civilization and violence are antithetical concepts. Sooner or later, all the peoples of the world will have to discover a way to live together in peace and thereby transform this pending cosmic elegy into a creative psalm of brotherhood. If this is to be achieved, man must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love."
Let us now together proclaim the words of Dr. King. I refuse to accept despair as the final response to the ambiguities of history.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality.
I believe that even amid today's motor bursts and whining bullets, there's still hope for a brighter tomorrow.
I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits.
I believe the lion and the lamb shall lie down together, and every man shall sit under his own vine and fig tree, and none shall be afraid.
Please rise and join us in the singing of the anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Rejoice.
You all may be seated.
In the midst of the Vietnam War, Dr. King spoke on April 4th, 1967 at Riverside Church in New York City. With a sense of grave urgency, he had this to say: "We still have a choice today, nonviolent coexistence or violent co-annihilation. We must move past indecision to action. We must find new ways to speak for peace and justice through the developing world. If we do not act, we shall surely be dragged down the long, dark, and shameful corridors of time, reserved for those who possess power without compassion, might without morality, and strength without sight. Now let us begin. Now let us rededicate ourselves to the long and bitter, beautiful struggle for the new world. This is the calling of the sons of God, and our brothers wait eagerly for our response. Shall we tell them the struggle is too hard? Will our message be that the forces of American life militate against their arrival as full men? Or will there be a message of longing, of hope, of solidarity with their yearnings, of commitment to their cause, whatever the cost? The choice is ours, and though we might prefer it otherwise, we must choose in this crucial moment of human history. And if we only make the right choice, we will be able to transform this pending cosmic elegy into a creative psalm of peace. If we will make the right choice, we will be able to speed up the day all over America and all over the world, when justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream."
Thank you for your presence this evening. Following music by the Tougaloo Choir, you are invited to join us for a reception in Wells Hall, which is to my left and down the hallway. Thank you.
We Shall Overcome by Robert Gibson. Our soloist is Malik Bolden, and our accompanist is Professor Terrence Evans. Thank you.
Show.